Welcome to the Tyco Water Kwinana plant. Tyco Water is Australia's largest manufacturer of pipeline systems and fittings. The Kwinana plant manufactures steel pipe from 508 to 1420 millimetres in diameter. These long-life pipes are coated with polyethylene on the exterior and a cement lining on the inside to protect from corrosion. The Kwinana plant was opened in 1960 and has supplied high-quality pipe and tube to some of the biggest projects, including the Dampier to Perth gas pipeline, the Water Corporation's Southern Trunk main extension to Harvey, and exports to Abu Dhabi. Advanced manufacturing methods and exacting quality control used by Tyco Water ensures the highest standard of product at all times. Tyco Water is committed to achieving the highest performance in occupational health and safety, with the aim of creating and maintaining a safe and healthy working environment. We believe this is achieved through seeking continuous improvement in occupational health and safety performance, ongoing training, consultation with employees and contractors, adherence to all applicable laws, ensuring all who enter the site understand and are aware of their responsibilities to the relevant policy. Working safely is a condition of employment. When entering or leaving the site, all visitors and contractors must sign the visitor's book. You'll receive a visitor's badge and a booklet which contains safety rules and information on site conduct, the use of tags and padlocks and emergency procedures, and a detailed site map on the back. Tyco Water require all personnel entering the plant to use the following personal protective equipment: hard hat, safety glasses, long trousers and long-sleeved shirt, safety boots or fully enclosed leather shoes, and earplugs or earmuffs. Tinted glasses are for the yard only, not inside the factory. High vis is to be worn in the yard area and wherever high forklift activity is present. Other types of protective equipment may be required depending on the task or working environment. Mandatory signs have been placed where specific protective equipment is required. All power tools and electrical equipment brought onto the Kwinana site must have current electrical inspection status. If the tag is not current and clearly labelled, the appliance cannot be used. We will not test and tag contractors' power tools. They must be done before arriving on site. Tyco Water is committed to creating and maintaining a safe working environment and ask that you observe all safety directions. Decrease our environmental footprint by conserving power and water where practical. Switch or turn off when not in use. Bins and receptacles have been placed throughout the workplace to cater for the specific nature of the waste. Recycling is encouraged wherever possible. The speed limit on the site is 15 kilometres per hour and seatbelts are to be worn at all times. All vehicles and personnel must always give right of way to our forklifts and mobile equipment. It is the ultimate intention of Tyco Kwinana to become a smoke-free worksite. Smoking is not permitted inside any of the company buildings or vehicles. Smoking is permitted in designated areas only. Personal mobile phones are to be switched off and not used during working hours. Phones are not to be used whilst operating machinery. No alcohol or drugs are to be brought to or consumed on site. Safety signs are located throughout the facility and must be adhered to at all times. You'll notice the green and yellow pathways on the floor. These pathways designate safe pedestrian areas. Visitors' movement through the plant is restricted to these areas only. Stay behind the line. Observe warning signs, flashing lights, audible alarms, and if plant is operating when crossing walkways. Keep all walkways, access areas and emergency exits clear at all times. Storage and laydown areas have been designated and marked accordingly. Emergency exits have been identified and posted with emergency exit illuminated signage. Firefighting equipment has been strategically located throughout the workplace. Please take the time to make a note of the location of the fire equipment and its operating instructions. Do not obstruct the access to any firefighting equipment. Once a fire extinguisher has been used, always replace it with a new one. Never put back a partially used extinguisher. Good housekeeping is essential to a safe working environment. Avoid personal injury. Always use the bins provided and adhere to safe lifting practices. Mobile equipment operators must hold a current licence for the equipment they intend to operate. When operating mobile equipment, always use the seatbelt provided. Each piece of mobile equipment on the Kwinana site has a fork tag attached to it. On one side is a daily checklist which needs to be completed prior to operation and signed and dated on the other side. If a fault is found, then the operator should remove the fork tag which displays a "Do Not Use" symbol. The keys and the fork tag should then be given to the coordinator. When moving through the plant, be aware of any potential hazards. Never stand under a loaded forklift or crane. All operating exposures can be safeguarded. Never stare at welding arcs. These pipes have been heated to 350 degrees Celsius. Never touch heated pipes. Sinter-coated pipes can develop a static electric charge, which can vary depending on weather conditions, with the hot and windy conditions being the worst. Always use the earth blocks and leads supplied around the site to discharge the electric charge before touching or working with coated pipes or fittings. When moving pipes, always wear gloves and use the appropriate tool. Some pipes weigh in excess of 9 tonne. Severe crush injuries could result. Under no circumstances attempt to stop a rolling pipe by hand. Keep all machine guards in place. If guards are removed for cleaning or maintenance, ensure they are replaced by an authorised person before using the machine. While at Tyco Kwinana, you may be required to complete a job permit. You will need a hot job permit if you're working where sparks or heat are sufficient to cause ignition to substances in the plant. A puncture of surface permit is required if any puncture or excavation on the ground is involved. A confined space entry permit is required where personnel are to enter confined spaces. A working at heights permit is required where personnel are to work at heights. Hazardous chemicals and materials are in use on this site. If you need to use any hazardous chemicals or materials, make sure you understand the nature of the product and the precautions that may need to be taken. Material Safety Data Sheet, MSDS, contain all of the relevant information and are available via your coordinator. Gas cylinders are to be chained at all times. Remember to return materials to the appropriate storage area. All dangerous goods and chemicals are stored as per legislative requirements. If you use any of these items, please ensure they are returned to original bunded storage area and cabinet. Never leave them lying around. Any spills in the workshop or roads must be cleaned up as soon as possible. Obtain a chemical spill kit, which are located around the plant and on the large forklift, and follow the instructions under the lid. Under no circumstances are any pollutants to be discharged or dumped into the sewage or drainage systems. Correct disposal procedures must be followed. Prior to any work being carried out, the machine or pressurised line must first be isolated. This ensures it may be worked on without fear of personal injury or damage to equipment. The machine or line must first be isolated at its primary motive source or isolating point. In most cases, this will be the electrical motor. It may also be the compressed air supply or a valve supplying fluids under pressure. Isolation must not be done on any control circuitry. Pushing the emergency stop does not safely isolate the machine. All isolation must include a red personal isolation padlock and a yellow out of service tag, which are available from the lock boxes at various locations around the plant. Isolation procedures are there for your safety. Remember, test before you touch. If the machine is still inoperable at the end of your shift, remove the red personal isolation padlock and leave the out of service tag noting the fault. These tags are to be used to prohibit the use of unserviceable equipment. They are not to be used to provide personal protection for anyone working on unserviceable equipment. Anyone who fails to remove their own padlock when they are finished their work or shift will be liable for disciplinary action. Anyone who removes another person's padlock or energises and/or operates equipment that has another person's padlock on it will be liable for disciplinary action. Information only or repair tags are used purely to inform people about the state of equipment. In the event of an accident, there are trained first aid personnel on site. They are easily identified by the green cross on their hard hats. All incidents must be reported to your coordinator and an investigation report completed within 24 hours. This includes any near misses. Situated around the plant, you will find these emergency procedure guides. The guide contains easy-to-follow information on incidents from evacuation procedures to medical emergencies, as well as phone numbers for emergency services and a list of first aid attendants. Remember, in the event of an emergency, dial 222. While on site, you may hear this sound. This is the evacuation siren. When you hear it, turn off your equipment safely and move to the nearest muster area. Their locations are shown on the back of your safety booklet. No smoking until the all clear is given. All personnel should be assembled at the muster point as soon as practical, but within 5 minutes. Remain at the muster area until directed by the coordinator. Our goal is the total elimination of accidents from our operation. For this to happen, we need the support and commitment from everyone. All injuries can be prevented.